Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So, being purely upfront, this one was driven by popular demand.
Had to.
We were just beaten into submission.
Yes.
People wanted to see the Ping G425LST versus the TSi3.
Definitely. We haven't even hit the LST. I haven't yet, so I'm looking forward to hitting the LST period. Those two going head to head, based on the results we've had with the Titleist, I can see why that's been like top of the list.
Yeah. I think profile-wise, there's a very specific player who's looking at this type of head. Much more pear-shaped for both of them. Actually, a little bit smaller in actual CC on the LST.
Hard to believe.
Sub 460.
Looks way bigger.
It does, doesn't
it? Really
it?
does.
Yeah, but it's just how you manage those dimensions. And
yep.
This one's just high in demand, and let's just get it out of the way. There's lots of other products being launched this particular week. And I think this mixes it up well to keep the conversation neutral. There'll be a ton of testing over the next few days with specific companies, but this will give you a feel for when we were testing them, how they compare to the other big hitters.
Which is important, and that's what sort of the benchmarks need to be. Yeah. There's companies that I think are already improving over their models, but what really matters is for the person that's going to go for a brand neutral fit. They want the best driver. I don't care what brand it is.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with the Ping because we still realize, as Matty said, we haven't really dug into the weeds for you yet.
No.
Somebody who's played a G400 and a G410.
Yep.
Obviously, a G425 was always going to be part of the conversation.
Absolutely, and it will be one of the ones I expect to get to the final four, let's say, in the bracket or so. I'd be shocked if it didn't.
Yeah, I would as well.
Yeah,
I would.
Okay.
All right, let's get some openers and then we'll flip into the Titleist. Hello, Ping.
Ping, straight.
Acoustically different to the Max.
Definitely. And the SFT.
And the SFT, they were both quite high-pitched.
A little hollow?
A little, very hollow. Very hollow.
So far, better. Much
better.
It's the high clanker.
A Ping at its finest.
Yep.
I mean, just one of those strikes you just don't get away with other heads.
That was so bad. Don't. That was the worst.
You sneak up into that spot and all of a sudden you risk everything, but actually you've risked nothing.
Yeah, that's why you buy a Ping driver.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Again, just kind of a little pitchy, so probably a little touch high in the toe.
High for sure, and a little in the toe.
Okay, nice opening set by the Ping. Pretty much right on what we would expect.
Yeah, it was extremely easy to hit, and it kept the spin in a good range. I think that's what that LST driver from Ping is always. It's not the lowest spin driver anyone makes that year, but of the low spin drivers, it's always the straightest. Yeah. It's always the straightest.
It will be interesting to see once we get our hands on that digitally low lofted one.
Yeah.
And we start playing around with the sleeve, and we can get one that comes in at 8, 8.2, turning it down 1.5 from there, see if we can get it under 7. Can it potentially be in the consideration with the low spin ones when we get the loft where we need it to be?
That's a good point. You just have to spec it differently.
Yeah, you just have to be in a more similar range, because I use an 8-degree sim.
Yeah. So
it's got to be apples for loft if we're going to talk about the DNA of the driver being low spin.
Very good point. Yep. Okay. Well, I think for now, before we hit the other new stuff, this is pretty much kind of our benchmark, the TSi.
I think so. Yeah.
Good set from Ping, and let's see if this is any better. Sounds better.
Sounds so good, doesn't it?
Sorry, Ping, this sounds better.
Sorry, everyone.
Sorry, literally everyone. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone, but Titleist sounds better.
I agree.
So good. It's a good, eh?
That's good. That was a nice one. Strike felt much better. That's nice.
That's a hammer.
It's probably the best ping drive I've hit today. Pretty similar.
There's a different start line with these two drivers. The Titleist wants to start up the left wing, and the Ping wants to start slightly right of the line.
That's good. That one's good.
Just a very, very consistent pattern down the right side. Like tiny draws, but they all start on the right.
What's predictable? Yeah, it's very predictable.
So good. Love that flight.
Yeah. I have an easier time with this for my personal delivery. They're both really good. I think this one just really seems to be suiting me from like a weight perspective or something. But I have an easier time with this Titleist.
We're very focused, aren't we, on the ball speed, and they are really, really similar.
So competitive.
Launch angle, very, very similar spin, same. I think the biggest story in this was the dispersion of the Titleist was what won it.
Definitely.
It wasn't the 4 yards, it wasn't anything else.
No,
it was
I agree.
more just you had such an easy time putting those shots into that. I mean, that's a pretty perfect little grouping right there. For foresight users, what you want to try and make sure is that there's no white space.
Okay.
So if you can kind of hit enough shots where the color of the trajectory is they all blend together,
right.
That's when you know you're in a tight enough window, and what that translates it to is apex. So
that
95, 88, 89, wow. Like those are phenomenal. I mean, that first set might be the best we've ever seen from consistency of apex.
I agree.
1 foot apart, 2, 4 away from the highest one.
And all the carries are within 4 yards.
Yep.
And no, you're absolutely right. It was crazy consistent.
Yeah.
So good on Titleist for, and this is, I think, personally, they've really validated this now. Because to be honest, I was waiting to see if Ping was going to be way better than this. They released in the fall. We assumed it was kind of the best thing going.
Yeah.
But we hadn't seen the new stuff yet. We're starting to see the new stuff. This is still really good, this Titleist driver.
Yeah.
The only reason I think the dispersion on the Ping, I just think the Ping is a super straight driver. The only reason I think the dispersion for me got a bit rightward at times is the extra head weight.
Yeah.
So if fit perfectly, I don't expect there to be a huge difference in dispersion between the two. But the fact that this Titleist driver, which to be honest is kind of small, rounded, not crazy forgiving compared to the Ping, the fact that it keeps up in so many ways and maybe even surpasses it, it's quite amazing.
Isn't it interesting how the kind of almost the stories flipped a little bit in that Ping had a competitive advantage for a while with the head weight.
Yes.
Now it's almost like we're kind of somewhat holding it a little bit against them and like, well,
I don't love it.
That's because the Ping's a little heavier. So if you're seeing the head weights, the shell minus the sleeve at 201, 202 grams, and everyone else is at 195 to 197, you're going to have to offset that a little bit.
That's a great point. It used to be a real advantage, and we like to see 200 plus. Now, I don't know, it must be the way that heads are evolving very quickly, that we're getting tons of ball speed at 196 grams. I'm swinging it a bit faster. I feel like I have the head in a better spot. It's not dragging.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. I think with that Ping, there's a lot we can do still. We can work with custom weights. We can work with different shafts. So I think what was interesting to see how good it was and how good Titleist still is, and then lots to look forward to. We got lots more to test and bracket coming up. And
my takeaway exactly matches that in that I'm super positive on the Titleist driver after seeing that. We've tested everyone's driver now apart from Callaway.
Yeah.
By the time you guys see this, we've literally tested everything. I mean, Titleist to me looks like, you know, the driver to beat as of right now.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think the TaylorMade and the Ping don't have quite as much time advantage.
Yeah.
We've had more time with this to get the perfect settings, perfect lock, perfect shaft for it.
Yeah.
Although now you have 2 perfect shafts for it, apparently. We haven't had that with the other 2.
No.
So we've seen ball speed-wise,
Yeah.
Ping and TaylorMade are right there with this. It's just the rest of it, I don't feel as comfortable with them, and that's just a lack of fitting, and we got lots of time to do that.
Another kind of couple little sneaky preferences, which at the end of the day, if you're seeing very similar results, is the sound
Yeah, that does.
and the feel.
There's no question that has made a big advantage towards Titleist for me.
Definitely.
When I strike a shot, it's not like I don't know when I miss hit them, but it's just a center face hit with this feels and sounds better than all the drivers I've tried so far. So
Definitely.
you can't ignore that.
Definitely.
Can't ignore it.
One that we can't omit from the conversation, because it really impressed us early on, was rad speed.
Yeah,
we
good
can't
point.
omit that from the conversation, because
point.
it was so good, and we saw some numbers from that were very, very different. So
Very quick.
yeah,
Very quick.
yeah. So I think that's one, and hearing some initial testing that guys like driver free agents like Gary Woodland, now in rad speed,
That's a
moved
big
away
deal.
from Ping and TaylorMade. He was kind of flip-flopping between, moved into Cobra.
That's a huge deal. For a free agent, that might be the best compliment they could get. It is
Really
the best compliment they could get.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, more to be told. We promise we won't just tell the story of the companies that you expect us to talk about. There will be the fringe guys. Obviously,
Strixon too.
Strixon has tested really, really well. We have the new Mizuno driver incoming
Can't
any
wait.
day now.
Can't wait.
That'll be good. And obviously, like we said, the Cobra one still is as good as anything we've seen, to be honest.
It's a hell of a year for the driver.
Yeah.
I think this year people have like more options than
More
I've ever seen.
options,
Yeah.
I know. Okay, guys, hopefully that was one that you were looking for specifically. If you're watching this now and still watching to the end, you know, that's answered some questions for you. I'm sure you picked up some things from that with regards to start line curvature, which one had the most neutral ball flight, sound, obviously Matt's feedback, my feedback in terms of what I saw. There'll be some good answers in there for you if this was the driver video that you were looking for us to do for you guys. So more to come in these head-to-heads. We'll be pitting them against each other, and you know, you'll start to see them expose who they truly are. And again, just use that towards what your needs are: ball flight, feel, shape, all that sort of stuff. This is all about trying to make it make sense for what you need. Stay tuned for more, guys. We will see you again soon.